2005年の E3、Wii の発表の次の日、岩田社長直々に Wii 版スマブラの制作オファーを受けました。この辺りやチームの組閣は長くなりそうなので別途まとめようと思いますが、一つだけ触れると、フリーになった私がこの仕事を受けなかったら、スマブラデラックスの26体のファイターには全く手をつけず、そのまま Wii で出されていたかもしれません。かつて岩田さんがそのように語っています。
We all know how much of an egotist Sakurai is, but you would never think he would be so despicable and so disrespectful to the late Satoru Iwata. Let me say that whether or not Sakurai was going to be involved in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, a straight port was not going to happen. And it's very tasteless that he would be willing to hurt Iwata's reputation for the benefit of his own. Now, Sakurai has left out some important details, which you can find at Super Smash Bros.' fandom site. Trying to find a source story was very hard, considering Google's censorship practices as well as websites taking pages offline, but I honestly remember that Super Smash Bros. Brawl started without Sakurai knowing. So, here is a detailed series of events. At the pre-E3 2005 press conference, the president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata, announced the next installment of Super Smash Bros. Was not only already in development for their next gaming console, but would be a launch title with Wi-Fi compatibility for online play. The announcement was unexpected to the creator of the Super Smash Bros. Series, Masahiro Sakurai. Back in 2003, he had left HAL Laboratory, the company that was in charge with the franchises and the Kirby series' development, and was never informed of this announcement, despite the fact shortly after resigning from the company, Iwata said if a new game was to be made, he would be in charge. It was not until after the conference Sakurai was called to Satoru Iwata's room on the top floor of a Los Angeles hotel where he was told by Iwata, "We'd like you to be involved in the production of the new Smash Bros. If possible near the level of director." Although originally announced to be a launch title, Sakurai stated, "I decided to become director. And as of May 2005, I was the only member of the new Smash Bros. Development team." So far, this doesn't contradict what Sakurai has said, but clearly this could be missing context that Sakurai could fill in with his own narrative. Here is a conversation with Iwata and Sakurai as part of the Iwata Asks series. "Well, I had considered what I would do if you turned me down and decided that I would need to take the existing Smash Bros. Title, Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, and try to make it Wi-Fi capable while preserving as much balanced gameplay as possible in the event you didn't want to get involved. Maybe it's more appropriate to say that I realized we wouldn't be able to add any new elements to the game without your help, and I think I said as much when we discussed it at the hotel. It wasn't right, but you might even say I used it as a threat of sorts." So, Sakurai is leading people to believe now that the lazy Melee port was going to be the permanent plan B. That was never going to happen. Sakurai ought to know this was never going to happen. Regardless, that's what he wants people to believe anyway. And for Sakurai to state this as a straight-up fact goes to show how much he's willing to throw Iwata under the bus to make himself sound superior. The key thing to point out here is that the plans for Super Smash Bros. Brawl were not drawn out yet. That's the most important thing to consider. Iwata didn't have the time to plan the game, and he did not talk to anyone else. He wanted Sakurai to direct it because he didn't know who else could. Nintendo hasn't been known for fighting games, and Iwata wasn't sure who else is available or qualified in the gaming industry. Iwata even said he only mentioned what would happen if Sakurai didn't, so that he could possibly change Sakurai's mind. Because on the same page, Sakurai said the following: "I had some other job requests already and had a hard time making up my mind. In the end though, I decided there were no other jobs with the potential that I could get people to be as happy as the Smash Bros. Project." So yeah, he wanted Sakurai to direct, and he wanted him to feel guilt if he didn't. But Iwata would certainly have found a way and would have talked it over with a new director if Sakurai couldn't. You got to draw the plan out. Leaving this out of his video, however, is disingenuous. He obviously had intentions of making Iwata and other Nintendo brass look inferior. As I said in other videos in the past, Sakurai doesn't want his audience to think that somebody else is capable of doing his job, even though it's not a very high bar to clear. And yeah, another instance where Sakurai can blame a dead executive because he's not around to clarify or defend himself. He'll use Iwata as a scapegoat to make himself sound like some hero. Just like when he said Iwata, back when Nintendo was struggling in the market and the Switch wasn't out at the time, approved Sakurai to spend an arm and a leg on his own Disney fetish. Sakurai is not a man.